All right, folks, today on... It's not the bench. It's not even my house. I am currently in France. I'm working from here, and I got a couple of deals locally. One of which was this Amiga 600. It wasn't just that; it came with quite a bit of stuff, a lot of floppies, the power supply, the RGB cable, a controller, and there was books and some games that came in this package. It seems to be a very sort of French package, and this was like Super Word. Never heard of that. Super Word. R-Type 2, nice. Championship, Golf and Shanghai Championship. Why couldn't I say that? And there was another game in it. F17 Challenge. God, I can't read today. Yeah, I never played that at the time, actually. I'm not familiar with it either. Anyway, there you go. Not exactly... well, R-Type 2 was good, I think, if I remember correctly. I think I used to play that. Or was it... No, it was R-Type 2, definitely. Anyway, this Amiga came in, and I thought I would do a video on this first because there's a couple of things that we need to attempt. So it's working. It's missing apparently a color. The guy's not sure if it's the RGB cable or something with the machine. But here, the seal is still here. So this Amiga has never been open. So I suspect, well, we can suspect a number of things, but the first job on this machine is going to be to remove all the caps, clean it and change the caps, because these are known to leak and they can damage other components. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a bad cap for, I think the red is missing, or is it the green? Can't remember. But one of the color is missing. So unfortunately, I can't do this here. I'm here for another 4 weeks. So it's gonna have to wait. It waited, I don't know, 30 years. I think it can wait another 4 weeks. But the reason I'm showing this now is because I actually want to open this machine and just check what's fully inside the state of the PCB. So I'm gonna have to break the seal, but I wanted to show you a completely sealed, unopened Amiga 600. It's rare enough these days, I suppose. It's never a good sign whenever you see one of those that's never been opened. Usually that means caps are bad. Same with the Amiga 1200. If you see somebody selling something because it has never been opened or tampered with, be very, very wary. Folks, if like me, you've tried to make your own PCB, you know that it's a lot of really hard work. And the results are, well... Thankfully, PCBWay takes the pain out of making PCB by doing it for you. They also do CNC 3D printing and injection molding, as well as helping you with the design of your idea if you can't even get it off the ground. So go to PCBWay.com and see what they can do for you, and thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Anyway, folks, we are now back in Ireland. This is the Amiga. I have it powered here, and it's become very clear what the issue is. I knew that already, but essentially we're completely missing red. Not a little bit. Red is completely gone. We can actually just verify that with Amiga test kit. The good news is the drive is working. So this is great. Everything else seems to be working. I think I tested back in France, but I'll show it to you now. Sound should be working. So audio is F5. Audio is working, that's great, but video, as you can see, I mean, we got some green, some blue, but we're completely missing the red here. I know the caps can fail, they always fail anyway, so we are going to need to replace the caps, but I suspect this is not a cap issue. There's an amplification circuit, so out of this connector here, before I continue, out of this connector, there are two RGB sources. Is RGB, which is marked as such, RGB, and A, R, AG, and AB. A stands for analog, and this is the signals we want. The straight RGB, I think, is digital RGB, and that's used for whatever. It's not used in these Amigas, but I think it's the standard for maybe CGA. I could be wrong, but not used. Anyway, A, R, A, G, and AB are the signals we want to have a look at. And on this path, so in this area of the 600, we'll open this in a second, but is all the electrolytics are usually here. There's a few for the audio and some here. But there's an amplification area for the RGB signal, and in there is transistors. And if you're completely missing the actual color, there's a good chance that one of the transistor is bad. If it was a faulty capacitor, we'd get something after a while as things heat up, as capacitance builds up. But in this case, I think could well be an issue. Hopefully with just one of the transistors. Hopefully it's not, what is it? Agnes it comes out of. So we'll see. All right, so this is our schematics, and this is our video out connector here. And if we look here, we get R, G, and B, and we should be getting, it's marked DB actually, very, very small. DB, DG, and DR. So digital, and this is straight RGB signal. And now it's marked exactly, AR, AG, AB, so analog, red, green, and blue. And here we got digital, red, green, and blue. So these are pins from here. So these are pins 3, 4, and 5 on the connector. So we can check those at some other point, but these come from this, let me zoom out a little bit, this encoder IC here. So we got signals coming out of the knees, so R, G, and B, and these are the digital ones. They go straight to the connector, I believe, but then they are processed through these resistor network here. Is it like a resistor ladder? Quite possibly. And then through these transistors, and so we got one line tied high signal coming in and a signal coming out here into this encoder chip that then outputs AR, AG, and AB. It could be that the encoder chip has a problem. Let me just check that we get a signal going into those transistors first, and then we can take it from there. So the base is high, and this one, I think this is our red. We've got on the base, sorry, this was the collector. On the base, we've a signal coming in, and we've nothing coming out of the emitter or the collector. I forget which is which, but we've something coming in here and it's not coming out of here. Let's just double check with this guy. Tied high. Let's just see this guy. Yeah, we got something anyway, and I haven't calibrated my scope. I just want to see if there's movement. Yeah, we've got something. This is quite possibly the blue, because there's a lot more activity on the blue line, and then here it's quiet for a while and there's a little bit of green coming in. Okay, but here on this guy, yeah, something coming in, nothing coming out. We've a dodgy one of those. This guy here needs to be replaced, so it's gonna be tricky to replace that on its own, so I might actually do that while we're just replacing all the caps. Replace this and then put the caps afterwards. Right, so we've got our motherboard out of the case, it's completely stripped. We in order to replace all the caps, so we got caps here, caps here, and here. We're going to need to remove a certain number of things. First, I'm going to remove the RF modulator. It's not needed anymore, not using a TV with RF, and we'll need that space for something else. To make my life easier, I'm possibly going to have to remove this guy, although with this, no, that should be okay actually. Definitely we'll have to remove these two guys and the keyboard connector, and possibly, just for ease of access, the choke here probably needs to go first. It's not a big deal, they're easy to remove. We'll do that with the desolder pump, and we'll be able to see a bit better. By the way, I won't show the process. I didn't show it on the other video I did on another Amiga 600. Recapping is fairly boring. Everybody's gone in their own way, and I'm sure the way I'm doing it will be wrong for somebody, so I don't want to invite that on the comment section. So I'm going to do it separately, and then I'll catch up with you afterwards. Right, the cap is removed. We're going to replace it. These are 3409 or something like that. Can't remember off the top of my head, but I have plenty of those, so hopefully that will restore our red back. And this is the IC that is responsible for the signals, kind of converting the signals to, I think we get sync out of it as well, and composite signal. Anyway, let's replace this. We have a few caps as well to replace, so there's been a little bit of damage in this area, and fortunately that's the truth of Amiga 600 caps. They can leak and destroy the pads under, and you only know once you try to remove them. The pads will lift right away, right off, and stay on the cap. Corrosion sets in, and essentially it just destroy the pads. This one is a first actually on the electrolytic cap, so I've just patched it through, and hopefully that'll solve that. All right, we got our new transistor in for red. Let me zoom out here, and let's power this guy to see if we're getting our red back. We got a white gray. That's a good sign in general that we have all three colors, but I just want to confirm. There you go. We've got a beautiful red back. So all it was here was this guy. So very often if you're missing colors, it can be one of these three, if the colors are completely missing altogether. The other thing I wanted to check was the composite output, but I can't quite check that because we need this capacitor here. It's in the direct line, so it goes from there's a composite out of the encoder chip, and it goes into this cap. So we need to put this cap. Before we put this cap, it's one of the through-hole electrolytics. I want to put the other ones back in. You'll notice I've put these back on because in order to put them back on, you need to remove the choke. And in order to put the choke back in, you need to have those in already, because the choke is needed to power the board. You notice as well, the board works without, at least it boots, without all the caps, just to show that the caps aren't needed, but more importantly, you could have very, very bad and leaky caps and the board still works. So just because it works doesn't mean that you haven't got issues in there, and issues we had. I had some pads lift as soon as I apply heat to them. Corrosion had set in, and yeah, there was a smell of fish and chips in the room for a while. All right, we got this board recapped. It's not my favorite job recapping stuff, but the RGB is back, we saw, and now I can finally test composite, because for composite, the signal comes out of, is it pin 11 or 21? One of those. Goes through this cap, through a resistor here, and an inductor, and into the signal here. However, we're getting nothing. And yeah, that's not good. I'm not happy about that. If I plug in the RGB signal, this should also switch to RGB, and we get beautiful RGB signal with our red back in, but yeah, no composite. So God, we're gonna have to get the scope out. I'm gonna do some continuity checks, but get the scope out and let's see what's going on. So this is the schematic. This is our encoder IC. But here we get this, yeah, it's pin 20. I go to this cap I was talking about. And then from there to this resistor, to this inductor, there's a small cap as well in just across to ground, right here, and into our composite jack. We got another resistor here. So I'm gonna first to test these components, just to make sure they're all okay. But essentially, have we anything coming out of here? Actually, the more I think about it, the encoder IC here technically might be fine. What we have here is, well, this encoder IC is sending chroma and luma out through these delay line and this bandpass filter here is Z221 and Z222. And this is what composite is. It's chroma and luma kind of squashed together, and it's going through these delay lines and going back in here. And it seems that these delay lines are prone to fail over time, more so than this encoder really. Unfortunately, you can't really find them anymore. So there's a fix for that. But first I want to check that this is indeed the problem. If you look here, the luma out is going through this 1K resistor into these delay lines, and these are essentially coils. That's all they are, coils. So we should see pretty much the straight continuity, like from here to here, and going back in. So from pin 18 to pin 16, we should see essentially the value of this resistor 1K. I've marked them here, so pin 19 and pin 16 and 19 are here. And if we look at the bottom of the board, this pin here is going, well, through these components, probably in parallel with ground or whatever. Doesn't matter in this case. It's going to here, which is the via for pin probably 16 and or whatever, doesn't matter. And here pin 18 is going through this resistor. So if we measure from here to here, we should see we should see a dead short, because this is just the coils. If we measure from here to here, which is to say from pin 16 to 18, we should see 1K. This pin and this here should be a dead short, and it's not. Sorry, there you go, yeah, and it's not. Just make sure this is going to this resistor, and this should be actually going to here. Yeah, there you go, so it's the right ones, and yeah, nothing. So this would actually confirm that our issue is not so much with this decoder, but with one of these guys here. From reading now online after having this doubt, it is indeed a common issue. The problem with these is they can degrade over time and essentially fail. Because you can't really find any of these, the trick is to do a mod that allows you to put a different IC here. It's an easy enough mod. It just requires removing this guy as well, and removing some of the components in this section. I'm not sure exactly which ones. I would probably say some of these here, and replacing this IC with a different model, the C. Can't remember the part number. I'm assuming the components we're removing are all of these resistors. Yes, quite a few. They're not needed there anymore. Let's do all that. I'll put a link to a blog or website that has the mod explained. It's pretty simple. It's mostly removing stuff, really. Okay. All right. So on the Amiga 600, these are the components you want to remove. All this row and these here. I've also removed now the delay line and the filter, bandpass filter, that is here. So it's those two guys. They're now removed. There they are. So this thing is actually one unit. I thought this was three of them, but it looks like it's one unit. Anyway, we don't need them anymore since we're going to do this mod. So this mod takes a couple of things. So we need to also remove, obviously, the IC, and we need to already bridge these two pins. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Bridge them together, and we'll also need a resistor across this guy in somewhere here. I can't remember where exactly. I've also, while I'm at it, I've also added a connector for powering the screen and the composite, because on my screen it's actually a female connector, and I've essentially just wire or tab them off here. So we need the 5V and the composite signal. So I'm just waiting now on the IC to arrive. It's gonna take a while. All right, so we got our replacement IC. So this is not quite the original. This is supposedly a slightly better composite output that this gave. It's mostly pin compatible aside from a couple of things. So we've removed the delay line. I think these are included in the chip from the board, and the resistors and capacitors that were associated with that part of the circuit. We also need to actually take out those two legs here. So this is pin 1 right here. You'll see the hole here, the little marker, and 3 from this side. You need to get rid of this guy and this guy. So we're going to snip them off and then install it on the board. Once this is done, we'll need to join a resistor from this leg to this leg. I think the recommended value is 2.61 K resistor. This is a rather specific value, and I don't have any of those. What I have is those 2.2 kilo ohm resistors. I have a few of those. I think this should be enough, so we'll try with one of those. Right, there's our IC in place, so you can see the reason we need to cut these guys here so that they don't make contact by accident. I could have cut them even tighter, but they're not touching. And we're bridging these two legs here. So these two legs are bridged, and these two guys are disconnected, and we have a resistor that 2.2 kilo ohms resistor installed here. So let's connect everything. I have my power. Also, I mentioned before I added these guys, the power for the screen needs to be plugged taken not from the 5V but from the 12V, and I can't quite remember if I'd mentioned that before or if I'd mentioned that it was 5V, but it should be 12V. It needs at least all that to power low. So let's see if we get so we get white. That means we get some, well, all RGBs at least. The reason it's taking a minute here to boot, there you go, it's because we haven't the floppy drive, so it's in the system to check for a floppy drive, and after a while it doesn't find it and just boots anyway. But look at that, we've quite a nice composite. At least on this screen it shows up quite well. I'm not sure if the 2.2 value has that much of an effect for a few hundred ohms. I'm not sure that makes much of a difference. I don't know. It works, and happy with that. So there you go. All it was, well, with quite a few issues with the board, so recap had to be done. Some caps had leaked with a bad transistor that was actually preventing one color from appearing, and the IC here had failed, or rather not the IC but the delay lines. Those guys had one of them had failed and was shorted, so we weren't getting our composite out. We are now. This is so cool. Okay, let me put this back in the case. We also need a few things. I have here ID drive, so I'm going to use a copy the image that is on my other Amiga 600 and have exactly the same image, so it saves me having to reinstall everything. Making a copy of that. I have here RAM extension and or fast RAM extension and some extra chip RAM here to be installed. So we like exactly the same setup as before, and I've also printed a little thing here to hold. It actually goes like that on the Amiga. I'll show you that later, and you can slide your screen in there. So the whole Amiga comes up as one unit. All right, so I got a lot of stuff put back in. We've got fast RAM, more chip RAM and some fast RAM. So we should have now 2 megs chip RAM, 4 megs fast RAM. I've plugged in the floppy drive back in, and an ID CF card, sorry, and with an image of my other Amiga 600. So it's an exact copy, and I can't get it to boot. It just won't boot, and I've been scratching my head now for the past half hour. I've actually tried this exact setup in the other Amiga. It works, so it's not the card. The card is working. It's not this. It's working. There's something else going on. And I was wondering, you know, I couldn't see any signal coming out of that, so I looked if it was getting power. It is getting power. And then I saw this. So what we have here is Kickstart 205, but the ROM version here is 37229. This will not boot a hard drive or a CF card anyway. It simply won't. It's not in the ROM. So what you want is 350 or something like that is what you want essentially, or above that. Which is, well, I don't know what version of Kickstart that is, but really what I'm gonna do is get a Kickstart 3.1, which should then boot this. All I'm getting here is the Kickstart boot. If I have this on, there's no activity LED. It refuses to boot. It won't even see it. All right, we got our new ROM here, and I got this angled ID connector. I find it better than these floppy guys that just want to touch stuff all the time. You can put them in a little bag, but this is tidier, and it doesn't get over the wrist. Is you'll actually put extra weight on this that's just hanging on by a thread really over the CPU. So let's power this, and have we any activity? Oh yes, there you go. So all it is, it's the ROM. So what is it, 3733 or 299 just doesn't handle ID drives. It just won't, and right away. So this is a copy of the other system, exact copy I made. So it should work exactly the same way. I have everything on it that I need. I could boot it directly to PT 1210, but I like to boot to Workbench first, because if I want to exit that and do some work on the machine, it's just easier that way. I could take out the card, insert it in my PC and just work that way, but it's a lot easier like that to work directly on the machine. Last thing I wanted to check is actually the keyboard. At least F2 is working. I think, yeah, there you go. The numpad isn't working because there's none, but the rest is all working. Wonderful. There you go, folks. This is such a cool piece of software. Thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. It's always fun working on these old Amigas that have sit in attics or shelves for years and that need a little bit of maintenance. I enjoy doing those. Hopefully we'll get more. I don't really need more Amigas to own. I have far too many already, but you know, if I find one, you never know. Folks, thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. Stay tuned, because this setup will hopefully come back at some point.